All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second launch party of Through the Darkness, I Will Love Myself. My name is Walia Eaglehawk. I will be your host tonight. I'll be facilitating this great conversation. Before we kick off, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land from which I'm broadcasting to you from tonight, the Gubbi Gubbi Cabby Cabby people. I wish to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I'm really excited to have you here. We've got a great lineup tonight of contributors from all around the world, which is very exciting for me in my bedroom to be connecting with so many cool people. So let's get into it. I hope by now, if you're joining in, you kind of know what Through the Darkness is, but I'm going to give a quick little spiel to let you know what to expect. So this is the book here, Through the Darkness, I Will Love Myself. It is an anthology, so that just means it is a collection of work from many different writers and an illustrator as well from all over the world. There are 19 of us in total, which is just an amazing number. And we all came together to write in response to many different prompts regarding self-love, inspired by BTS's Love Yourself trilogy and subsequent tours and messaging, the United Nations speeches, just everything that they've done since the Love Yourself era has really inspired the works in this book, as well as everyone's lives, which I'm sure you'll hear a lot more about as we go along. So to kick us off, I would like to quickly go around and get everyone to introduce themselves. So we will start off with Risa. I'm going to make you go really big on the screen, so enjoy this.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Risa. I'm the illustrator for this book. I'm from Jakarta, Indonesia, and I'm actually an urban designer that draw as a hobby. I came across this project because one of the author, Nabila, shared her poem with me, and it inspires me to draw to interpret her poem, and that's the start of this all, which then turns into me connecting with Walia and all of you. And so here I am. I think that's enough.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Awesome. How exciting. So you've already met our illustrator, Risa, which is awesome. So we'll talk a little bit more about how that illustration all came together, which was really exciting and unexpected for all of us here. All right. So moving on, let's go to Destiny. I'm gonna make your face go really big now. So enjoy this.
Amazing. Hi, I'm Destiny. I'm also an Australian like Walia, and I contributed a short poem to the anthology. And aside from doing some writing, I'm mainly a uni student, and I just do a bit of work around, but uni and a little bit of BTS appreciation is my daily life. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Another Aussie. That's so exciting. Yay. All right. So now we're going over to Fionn.
Hi, I'm Fionn. I'm also a college student. I'm from Hong Kong, and I also contribute a short poem to the anthology. When I'm not writing, I sort of want to get into writing as a career, but usually I spend my time writing not poetry, but mostly prose and like blog posts and articles like that. So this was a really exciting experience for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. As you can see, everyone, we're having people jump in and out because this is a very live recording. So please bear with us as we sort through all of our technical difficulties, which is always a lot of fun. All right, next we're going to Vita.
Hi guys, I'm Nabila Tabita. I wrote Love in Progress, a poem in Through the Darkness, I Will Love Myself. And I found this through a friend recommended me, like, hey, you write poems, right? Maybe you should submit here. Maybe you'll get published. And I did, so thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, I'm glad you submitted. That's very exciting. All right, we are going to go over to Aru now. Hello, Aru. Welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I hope I'm audible. The internet has been troubling me all morning. I am Aradhana Juneja. I am a student of grade 12 in India. well, I should have been in university by now, but like because of the pandemic, we are still stuck in our last classes. So I'm a student. That I don't write that much, but when I mean, I write, but I don't share it with people. So but for by chance, I saw this post on my Twitter timeline, and I was like, let's have a try at it, and let's send. What is the worst thing that can happen? So I sent it, and then I got selected, and I was like, that is like, this is stuff that is possible. Like I can write, and then it can be published in a book. So like this has really helped me gain self confidence in a bit. Like finding a Twitter post, submitting a poem, and then have it actually be published in a book. I am really excited about this.
Well, I mean, if the worst that can happen is you getting published, then I think that's a great risk to take, right? So, so congratulations and welcome. Thank you for joining us. All right, I'm going to go to Alejandra, whose name I have now gotten right in pronunciation. I'm very excited.
Yeah, well, I'm Alejandra. I'm from Venezuela, but I'm currently living in Spain. I, just like Aru, I was really shocked when I told me that I was one of the selected writers, because I mostly write for myself as a way of letting anxiety and, like, all those kind of dark feelings out. And I came across this project through my cousin. She sent me the tweet and she was like, you should submit something because maybe you will get published because you're good. And I almost don't do it because I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it, but like low-key I was not really trying. But then something in me told me, like, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? That they say no, and then you already have a no. So so I submitted it, and well, yeah, when Nikki she sent me an email, and we went into a Zoom call. I was super surprised, and she was super sweet, and like the whole process has been amazing. I'm super happy with it.
Awesome. Well, we're already hearing a little bit about how people have come across all these publications and all these come across Moonrise and Revolutionaries and got into the book, which is really exciting. So Fatima, what about you? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Fatima, and I'm from Canada, but I'm currently in India. I'm studying. And because I usually write non-fiction.
All right, Fatima, you keep muting yourself. Can I get you to start again, please? Something keeps happening. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I think it's the connection, yeah.
All right, I think you can go now. Yeah. Yes, okay. You're all good.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Fatima, and I'm from Canada, but I'm currently studying in India. And I came across Revolutionaries through Twitter, I think like everyone else. And I'm not really used to sharing my writing with people. And I have been published before, but it's mostly been nonfiction. So, but because of the lockdown and all, I felt like I was writing a lot, and I wanted to share it because I felt like a lot of people might be feeling the same way. So I decided to take a chance and send it in with zero expectations. And then when I got the email, I was really happy, and I'm really happy to be able to have shared my work with everyone and to be able to work with all of you. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think I've managed to go through everyone. We've changed our arrangement on the screen, so now I've totally lost track. I hope I've introduced you all, so if not, just put your hand up and I will apologize profusely. All right, so moving on. I love live things. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I would like everyone just to introduce like what they like to write about, or for Risa, like what you like to illustrate, and how like this work came to be. So the title, did you think of it before the call for submissions, or did you do it in response to something? So just walk us through a bit of that process. So Risa, we'll start with you. You better unmute yourself first, please, Risa.
Sorry. So I usually take about 3 or 5 days with each stories so I can get through the feeling of it all, and then I could interpret it well. And once I have the idea of how I wanted to draw it, I sketch it out, about 3 sketches, and then I sent it to Walia. And then after that, I choose the one that I want to finalize, and that's how it's all done. I hope that I interpret your stories well, because I'm actually really scared that I cannot do that. So I hope you're happy with yours.
All right, let's look at everyone's faces. Is everyone happy with their illustrations from the book? Yeah, I see smiles. That's good. I mean, that's really positive. So Risa, what would be really cool is if you could talk about, and I think Vita, and I think Risa, you kind of spoke about it a little bit before, how you actually came to be part of this project through Vita. So can you just talk a little bit about that so everyone knows?
Yes. So
why you?
So Nabila and I are in one group chat, army group chat, and we never see each other eye to eye since the pandemic. So we only talk in group chats. And then one day she shared her poem, and I got really inspired by that poem. And then I asked her if I can draw from it. And then I sent her the sketch, and that's how and then she submitted her work with my drawing. And then Wally, you asked her to for me to contact you, and that's how it started.
Yeah, so I mean, I wasn't expecting for this to be an illustrated book. I hadn't actually gotten that far in thinking about things. But when Vita emailed me, she's like, "Yes, here's my final poem, and by the way, I have an illustration." I was like, "What? What do you mean you have an illustration?" And I looked at it, and it was beautiful. Actually, it didn't end up in the book, but I think you've shared it on Instagram somewhere, Vita, so everyone can go check that out. I mean, I think I've seen it recently on Instagram somewhere. But essentially I was sitting there thinking, well, look at this beautiful illustration. I can't just say yes for one person to have their poem illustrated when there's 18 other people in this book. So, oh my goodness, now we're going to have an illustrated book because I can't possibly say no. And that's how it happened. And I think it was so cool that essentially at this point in time, none of the book was finished. So I was trying to figure out how I could best explain to Risa like what the illustration should look like. And I didn't really want to put any tight control on what that was. I just wanted to get something, a full like creative expression in response to these pieces from Risa. So I gave her the entire like Google Drive of everyone's drafts. By the way, everyone, Risa read all of your drafts as they were happening. And then she was able to do concept sketches from that, which was really exciting to just see someone else's. So you're all interpreting your own work and channeling it through writing. And then to see Risa, who doesn't know any of you except for Vita, to actually go through and interpret this for herself and then turn it into artwork. That was really exciting. So that was really awesome, and that was a really unexpected part. So I'm totally thrilled about that, and I'm really happy that Risa can be here to talk more about that process. So thank you, Risa. Let's move on to Destiny. I'm going to put you up on the screen. So I've already forgotten the question. So what do you like to write normally? Just kind of let us know a little bit about your piece, not too much though, because we'll get into it a bit later, and kind of how it came to be.
Sure. Well, to be honest, I don't really have much time to write creatively outside of doing like academic kind of articles, but I guess I kind of prefer to go into like creative writing, like poetry, a lot of metaphors to express different concepts, which is kind of coming out in my submission for this book. But for the piece itself, I was actually completely inspired by the prompts that Revolutionaries put out once the submissions opened up. And I ended up taking a look at a few of the like prompt keywords, mulled them over for a bit, and then just wrote the submission in response to them, and then kind of came up with the title. The title was really kind of spur of the moment just before I submitted it. I was trying to think of something that would encapsulate I guess like the concepts of the poem. So I just wrote what I wrote, and then I guess it fit it quite well. So yeah, it's kind of how it turned out. It was very kind of one big burst of writing, and then that's where the poem was.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So what's the title of your work?
Lifelong masterpiece.
Ooh, all right. I'm excited to hear more about that. I mean, I'm acting like I don't know what it is, but I am excited to hear more about it because I'm really eager to actually hear how all of you, I would just want to know more about the process because I wasn't there, especially for the poetry. That was my co-editor, Nikki. She met with all of you and helped develop your poetry. So I wasn't part of that process. So I'm really eager to hear more about that. And also if anyone watching wants to know more about the editorial process and why there are 3 editors in the book and everything that we went through, we did have another launch party, which was yesterday with some of our American contributors and one from the Philippines. So it was a cool Australia, Asia, America mashup, just in a totally different time zone yesterday, which was a lot of fun. So please do check that out just to know a little bit more about how the book came to be. So tonight we can focus more on the poetry and the illustration and the stories as well, which I'm really excited about. Okay, so I'll stop my rambling. Bita, it's over to you. What do you like to write about? Oh, not yet. Okay, it's too loud. Okay, we're having some noises in the background. Okay, that's what that message meant. All right, Aru, we're going to you. So what do you normally like to write about? And can you introduce your piece a little for us?
Well, I write to hide myself, basically, if that is how I put it into words. Whenever I don't feel okay or good or frustrated or any of those like negative emotions, if negative emotions is a thing, I just put it out on paper to get some of my frustration out. Generally, what I do after is like I'll crumble the piece of paper or I'll throw the poem away somewhere so that I never find it back again because every time I read it, I feel those emotions coming back in. So it is my outlet to get rid of all of the bad stuff that I am feeling for that moment and then move forward. But for this particular poem, if you remember, BTS did a speech at a graduation event. So from that event, I got inspired. At night, I was like, I generally don't speak to people. Neither I like to be as invisible as I can possibly be. But these people inspire me to speak and share my work and uh, maybe do something. Maybe somebody else who also likes to be invisible, or who also feels invisible, who doesn't like to be may like what I'm writing. So that night, I came up with the line, "I'm 16 and I uh, hate when people don't take me seriously." And from then on, it kind of built in itself.
Beautiful. So I think your poem is definitely, it stood out so much when we were selecting because, and I think the illustration really helps with that too. Actually, I'm going to quickly find it because I love this illustration because I think we can all remember very vividly, I know I can, what it feels like to be 16. It is a time, oh my gosh, you found it quicker than me. All right, here we go. I'm going to make this big screen. Can you hold it up? There we go. So this is 16 by Arrow, and this is the illustration by Risa. So look at that. I think that really paints a picture there, doesn't it? So I think that's awesome to see the interpretation from Risa and also the amazing work by Arrow. So there we go, just a little freebie for anyone who's quick enough to read, but definitely buy the book. Don't try and pause that and read it. Okay, Alejandra, we're going to come to you next.
Okay. So I usually write about personal experiences and mental health themes. That's something that I've always been interested in, and I've personally dealt with some mental illnesses. So that's something that I like. And I usually write on a notebook that I have. It's like a purple notebook where before I used to take everywhere, and just whenever I felt like writing, I would write. But for this poem, I actually wrote it on my phone. I was going through it. I was going through a moment, and I had just recently moved back to my parents' house, and I was just feeling trapped, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So before going to sleep, I was feeling very frustrated, and I took out my phone and I started writing a bunch of things. Actually, the title wasn't what the title is right now, which is Tired Eyes and Dry Lips. The title was Self-Sabotage. And when we were having the meeting with Nikki, she told me, like, this is really good, but the title is giving too much away. So maybe you should change it so people, like, if you read the title, you will know that it's about inner fights. So maybe we should change it so that the reader is more not interested but curious about what the whole poem is about. So I did that, and I'm really happy with the final poem. I think for me it's way easier to write about those kind of things like anxiety and depression and all that, because I feel like that's something I would like to read if I feel down. So that's why I write about those specific topics.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. I know that Beta is now ready to go. All right. It's your time to shine.
Okay, so I am actually inside this Army Writers Club on Discord, and they gave a challenge of doing a poem for 100 words, and I didn't know what to write about back then. But I was also part of a poetry community in Jakarta, Indonesia, and they gave out a prompt about work. And for most of them, they think work is, 9 to 5 jobs, that type of stuff. But for me, work means progress. And that's how I got to write my poem, Love in Progress, because, work in progress. It's a play on that because I feel like sometimes in an effort to love yourself, it's not just like you did it and then you're gonna love yourself forever. It's like an everyday battle. It's always going to be a progress. And I I actually did this back when I was still a teen, back 16, 17. I used to actually talk to myself in the mirror, having a conversation as if uh, I'm talking to someone else in order to lift myself up and love myself a little bit better. So that's how it came to be. And yeah, there was a lot of drafts. No, well, not really. There were drafts before it got to where it is now.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. I love hearing everyone's origin stories. I hope everyone's enjoying it as much as me. I can see from everyone's faces, at least that I can see on the screen before me, that this is interesting. It's just really cool, I guess, because we have our own creative processes, hearing the similarities and the differences between all the stories shared here today, especially because Reese's art form is quite different to ours, but also how there's so much crossover as well, especially because we are exploring self-love and self-hate and everything in between, which is such a universal feeling and process and experience as well. So that's what's getting me excited. Don't know about everyone else. All right, Fatima, it's over to you.
Yeah. So
All right, Fatima, you have muted yourself again. I'm going to try and unmute you, but I think you need to unmute from your side for it to work. Yay. Now it's on.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm passionate about writing about is mental health. Because in our society, at least where I live, and it's not something that's talked about and it's really swept under the rug. So I want to, with my writing, I wanted to raise awareness of the issue. But so basically for the past few years, I've only written nonfiction. The fictional stuff that I wrote, like I said before, I never shared it with anyone because I felt it was not good enough or too personal. But this story, it came about as my personal experience as well as the experiences of people I've met with, like my actual real life friends and people I know. So I decided to share it because I felt like people might be able to relate to it. And for me, the goal of my writing has always been to be something relatable for people to be able to feel the feelings that I felt, or because feelings are something universal. So to hate yourself or love yourself or to feel insecure, all of these are things that everyone feels. So what I want from people to take away from my writing is that you're not alone. You all of us feel these feelings. So that's what I want to convey through my story. Hopefully.
Awesome, beautiful. All right, well, definitely Fatima's story is called 20 Somethings, and I think it's an incredibly relatable story. It's definitely one of those coming of age stories about the transition of leaving college, leaving university, and having to become an adult, or whatever that actually means. You know, and then put in with that life, the other events that have happened, trying to make something, trying to be an artist, you know, it really starts to compound a lot of experiences and, of course, becomes very relatable. So I hope everyone checks out Fatima's story and reads it. I was lucky enough to come in at the end of development for Fatima's story and get to read it and work with her a little on that. She mostly worked with Kodo, our other co-editor, and her story is great. So please do check it out. All right, now we are going to go to Fionn. Hello.
So my poem Bathtub was something I actually wrote a couple of years ago, I think when I was 17, for a school contest. It was a poetry contest, and my friend was joining, and she said she would be nervous about joining alone, so I was like, okay, I'll do it with you. It didn't end up getting selected because I did that thing where I normally do with writing, which is I start writing maybe 24 hours before the deadline, decide I'd never want to look at this again, and sort of chuck it into the submission box. So that's what happened with that poem. And after that, it sort of just sat on my laptop for, you know, all those years, and I never looked at it again until I saw the call for writing on Twitter as well, like so many other people. And I figured it might be a good time to bring that back. So I did sort of like one final look over, edits, and sent it in. And I was really lucky to be able to work on the poem further with Nikki throughout the writing process, but I think that question might come later, right? So I'll talk about that a little later as well.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, so let's see. I think we've actually gone through everyone. Yay! That's so exciting. Okay, so now we're able to move on to the next part. So I would like you to talk about your work in 7 words. Now, it can be a sentence, or it can just be 7 keywords, or you can do what I did in yesterday's launch and kind of ramble off 7 points that weren't even words. You can do whatever you like. There's no rules anymore, but let's try and aim for 7 words just as a bit of a challenge. And then if you want to, please just share your favorite excerpt and kind of talk about why it's your favorite or why you wrote it, and just kind of reflect on it a little bit so we get an insight into your process and get to hear a bit from you. All right, we're going to go to you first, Destiny, and then maybe Risa, I'll come up with a different question for you so you can still participate. Yeah. All right, Destiny, it's you.
Okay. So with hyphens, I'm not actually sure if this counts as 7 words or as less, but I would describe my poem as journeying from self-hate to self-love, which I think kind of captures the broad themes that I was thinking of when I wrote it. And actually on that, I'm going to find the line I want to read out from it. It's, I guess, the pair of them actually, which would be, where was it? Yeah. So I have this line here, which is this delicate construct of porcelain, a waving facade of safety, which is actually technically 2 lines, but it's 1 sentence there. As kind of in this finished version, it's kind of my favorite line because it kind of describes, I guess, the metaphorical creation I kind of talk about in the poem, And it actually changed quite a bit from my original submission, which was more mixed metaphors about something to do with like molten metal, something like that. But I really like the form it kind of took with Nikki's guidance and feedback. So that kind of, to me, both describes like the current form of the poem, as well as sort of the way we've started safety. It's kind of describes that journey in that it's still not there, it's still halfway, but it's there, and yeah.
It's a lifelong masterpiece, would you say?
Exactly. It's ongoing.
Oh, what a clever title. There we go. It's all summed up. I love that Alejandra changed her title because you didn't want to give too much away. And Destiny, you've got the whole thing in your title, which is cool. Yeah. That's why we put yours at the start, just to give it away a little bit, and then we really draw people in. All right, Mita, over to you.
Okay, wow, 7 words, a lot. I guess I would describe my poem to just be a progress. I don't know if that is just 2 words long, but yeah, because I really did do it every day, because I used to see there was someone, I don't remember who, but there was a video on YouTube that just basically said, if you pretend to say that you're happy to the mirror every day for 30 days, you would actually think you're happy. But I ended up doing what I did in the poem, and that's what I wrote about. My favorite line that I wrote was, "Don't stop trying, okay? That's what matters. You can always love me tomorrow. I'll wait." Because I am not really a patient person, and I want my other self to be more patient than I am, so that I could, be better. That's how I see myself bettering myself, is to be more patient. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome, thank you. All right. So we heard a little bit more about that. All right, Fatima, I'm going to come to you next.
So because my story is kind of really long and there's a lot of themes, so I had to think for a while to come up with a sentence that's 7 words and can describe everything. So I tried my best. So it goes like, it's about losing yourself. I hope that sums it up.
Awesome. And do you happen to have like an excerpt or a few lines that you really like the most from your piece?
Yeah. So the bit I want to read is from the end of the, almost end of the story. And I like this part a lot because it's a part that that gives hope. It's that no matter how lost you are or how much you've suffered, you always hope, you always get better. You will find a way to love yourself. So it goes, not all feels loud and dramatic. Some happen in a dark room, in a studio apartment on a snowy December night. In the glow of the laptop screen, I finally faced myself. After a lifetime of hiding behind metaphor and illusion, of self-loathing and self-destructiveness, I finally feel kind toward myself. Perhaps now's as good a time as any to start being honest with myself, to stop being afraid of happiness and healing, to turn my scars into my own personal galaxies, to hold myself with the warmth of a parent and the tenderness of a lover, to forgive myself, heal myself, love myself. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Fatima. All right. So now we're going to go. I'll come to you last, Risa, even though you're in the middle. I'll lucky last. All right. So we're going to go to Alejandra next. You're up.
Okay. So actually, I spent the whole day yesterday trying to figure out how I will describe my poem in 7 words, and that wasn't easy. But I came up with how you talk to yourself matters most. And I thought of that because my poem is about having a mental breakdown and how you comfort yourself, but before the comfort, how you deal with it. So, well, actually, my poem says, well, my favorite stanza is the voices in my head used to get loud at night, but now they keep haunting me through the daylight. You're living in your head, telling yourself you're doing your best when you know you're lying. And then later on, it says something like, when you talk to yourself at the mirror, when you look at yourself in the mirror, do you say nice things? I pinch my skin between my fingers, and my demon's threats sound like lullabies. So I think with this description that I just gave, with how you talk to yourself matters most. I want to represent or describe how, even though you can have people around you helping you and telling you you're doing great, what matters the most is how you speak to yourself and what you think of yourself. So that's why in the beginning it's like the voices in my head are haunting me and telling me that I'm running out of time and that I just tell everybody that I'm doing my best, but it's not true because I can feel that I'm not doing my best. So basically, it's about being nice to yourself and believing in your potential.
Awesome. Being nice to yourself and believing in your potential. And it is all about that self-talk, and it's so important. How we talk about ourselves and to ourselves inside our own heads is so important. And that's where our sense of self comes from. So we can all take a leaf from Alejandro's book, and we can also merge that with what Vita was saying about just how she look in the mirror and speak to herself and try again tomorrow as well. These are all like really important little pieces of information that we can glean from the creative process, and also from the writers' lives, that we can apply to our own process as well, which is really exciting. And it's great to know that, I think it was Fatima who was saying, I think everyone was saying as well, like, you are not alone. And that's like a really important theme in this book. And it's been a really important part of this process, is realizing that no, like none of us are alone. Actually, there are 19 of us in this book, all experiencing very similar things. And that's just, I mean, it's sad that we're going through such difficult times, but it's also very uplifting and heartwarming that we are not alone and we're in it together. All right, Aru, I'm coming for you.
Okay, so 7 words that I thought of would be: I was scared, but now I am trying. If that makes any sense. I think that sums up my poem from start to finish quite a bit. Because I think I got being invisible, being not taken seriously, not being able to say something in public just because you're scared you're not going to be taken seriously, not being able to get out of your house just because you're like, nobody's going to pay attention to me, or everybody's going to stare at me, and then everybody's going to judge me, and all of that headspace. Even though it is not nice, I feel like people get comfortable in it. I myself got comfortable in it. Like, the only thing that because that was the only thing that was constant in my life at that point, was even though it is not nice, it is still there every single day. So might as well get used to it, if that makes any sense. So that is what I was writing. But one day, like I mentioned before, that graduation speech, I get like bursts of motivation with certain things. So by that graduation speech day, I was like, okay, so now I should try at least a little bit. Even though, like, if other people can't take me seriously, then I can. If like one person at least would take me seriously, no, then I shall try, then I should try. And then I've seen it happen in real life as well. I did not self reject my poem this time, and I actually stood up and sent it to you, and then it actually happened. Like, now it is in a book and it is published, and that is so amazing. I still can't believe. So that is what it is, no? Because I was self rejecting due to my lack of confidence, and think because I got comfortable in that headspace, that made me realize that if I don't do it once, I can actually do something. That is the whole poem, what it was based on. Then I scribbled it out on paper. Then I was like, nope, I don't like this. Then it was like, you extended the deadline for Revolutionaries, the submission for the poem. And I was so glad. I was like, I submitted on the last day. I don't know if I submitted in time or not, because I've been terrible with time zones throughout this whole editing process. Everyone, I think, is aware. But like, I was like, did I submit it on time? Did I not submit on time? Again, if I self-rejected or not. But the editing process, and like, you have been really helpful. Nicola has been really helpful. All of you, I think, has made me gain self-confidence bit by bit, enough that I can now go out and show my work to other people.
That's
And
awesome. That's so awesome, Aru. Do you have an excerpt from your, like a one line or a stanza that you'd like to read to us?
the last part, the ending, I like very much.
All right, take it away.
This thing. I don't agonize, I don't disguise. Instead, I realize that I can speak, not very loud, but I whisper. Slowly, I start. This particular stanza, even though it is not the truth every single day, I lean towards the first part of the poem every single day, but I like that I am trying, or that there is some part of me that wants to try still.
That's beautiful. I'm so glad you keep trying, and I'm so glad that you bit the bullet, the proverbial bullet, and ignored some of your self-doubt and submitted, which is awesome. And I mean, everyone probably went through a similar process when submitting. I know whenever I submit anything, I still go through the same feelings. I think that's just part of putting your work out there in the world. So thank you everyone for submitting. I'm so glad you did, because that means that we're able to put together a book. And also for anyone watching, if you're concerned about whether or not you're worthy of something, whether or not you should submit something, please do. Because people like myself, who is in the position to publish, I literally can't make books, anthologies, unless people submit. And if everyone felt too self-conscious, too afraid to submit, and they didn't, I wouldn't be able to make the book. So it's the line between like getting in and getting rejected is very, very slim, especially for companies like mine where we're looking to develop works. So please just like take that leap, because even if you do get rejected, that's a learning. Even though it sucks, it's still something that you did, and you should be proud for that in the very least. But everyone here didn't get rejected, so we're very happy to be celebrating with you all. All right, Fionn, we're over to you.
So I think my favorite, I guess I'll start with the 7 words. I think 7 words that I would use to sum or describe my poem would be sort of a form of self-love and therapy. Even though my poem is mostly the process of self-hate that William mentioned, and sort of feeling trapped in that, I think being able to put that on paper is a form of processing it for me, and in that sense, a form of therapy. So I think writing the poem itself is a really therapeutic process. In terms of my favorite line, I think I'm also reading off the book here. I think my favorite line would definitely be, so perhaps it ends like this with life that tumbles to lifeless lips and grasping palms, because I do quite like that idea of feeling trapped or lifeless or hopeless and still being able to create some sort of art life from that. And I think that process is something I feel very hopeful about, and something that I've also learned to embrace more through writing this poem and through engaging with all these other amazing artists, including BTS.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Now, I think we're going to Risa. That's right. Lucky last. We're going to look at Risa's favorite illustrations from the book. And also, Risa, can you tell us a little bit about the process behind like what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what you wanted to show in the artwork as well?
Okay, so my favorite one is actually this one. Can I show it? I think I can show it. Can I?
Yes. No, just describe it to us in words.
My favorite one is, it's this one. Oh, it's left and right. It's like flipped, so I'm kind of confused right now, so bear with me. Okay, this one is my favorite. So this is actually one of my sketches for the cover of this book. So after I read all of your stories and poems, the idea is that what you experience, it came out of you, and instead of you dismissing it, you're nurturing it so you can learn from it in the future. So that's why, that's why, the left and right, I'm very confused here. Okay, so that's why the flower that grows out of you, and then you nurture it. So that's the idea of this this drawing right here. And yeah, do you have any question for it? I'm really confused because of the left and right of stuff.
Yeah, you did well. You did well. Well, I do want to say I ended up, Risa sent through 3 illustrations, and of course you see the one that we chose for the cover. On the cover, yes, it's already there. And then the one in the book, actually, I ended up using because I didn't want to say no. Like, there were 2 illustrations that I really loved that were options for the cover, and I didn't want to say no to either of them. So I ended up writing my poem in response to that illustration. So I waited until after I saw and read everyone's contributions so I could get an understanding for like the general vibe of the book, and I tried to reflect everything that I had read and experienced for everyone else through my poem, which was also reflected through Risa's artwork. So I think that's really cool, and I'm pretty happy to have that illustration as my own. It was just because I didn't want to like have it not be in the book, so I took one for the team and I used it for mine. Yay! All right, thank you so much, Risa. All right, so for everyone watching, if you want to put in questions for everyone, now's the time, because we're going to start asking the final questions here. Also, if you want to say anything nice to us on YouTube, you can. We can all see your comments. But yes, please direct questions towards everyone now, and I'll be able to put it up on the screen and have everyone answer. So what I would like to know now, this is not one that I have prepared you with earlier, so yes, you are welcome in advance. I would like to know from everyone, what have you learned about self-love from this process in particular? So we've already heard a little bit about that, but if you want to talk about that, and we're also going to hear from Destiny and hopefully Fionn as well when she comes back, just a bit more about the poem writing process, because we talked a little bit about poetry with Nikki when she was on yesterday, but we didn't have as many poets on that call, so I'd love to hear a little bit more about the perspective of the poet, whereas we had Nikki's perspective yesterday. So Destiny, if you want to kick us off, just talking about like what you've learned about self-love from this process, but also what the poetry development has been like for you.
Yeah, well, I guess for me, it was good to just kind of reflect on my own experience with self-love and kind of where I'm at in that sort of journey I describe in the poem, because I wrote the poem based on like my own experiences with mainly it struggles my body image and kind of the fluctuating self-love I have with myself, that kind of fueled it. So when I was writing it, I was kind of trying to tap into the me of the past a little bit, and then me of the present as I was writing, and kind of see how my thoughts have changed and how I was perceiving myself kind of changed over time. And it was kind of it was a good way to kind of reflect and be more self-aware. This is kind of hard to do in a very kind of busy sort of lifestyle where you don't have much of a chance to think more about yourself. So I guess for the poem writing process as well, honestly with mine, I kind of let it sort of sit in my subconscious or in my mind, not really formed, but I just kind of think about the general ideas for quite a long time. Over like throughout the day, I would kind of jot down like a few, if a really like nice line kind of came to mind, I would jot it down really quickly because it had a good rhyme or good imagery I wanted to use in the final poem. And then for this one, at least on the day of the submissions, I kind of sat down and drew it all together and then made it into the poem I submitted as the draft there. And it was kind of, my style is kind of more like a burst of energy, bringing together all my concepts rather than working it over time, because I'm very bad at maintaining the consistent workflow there. But yeah, I guess for me, yeah, overall the poem writing process is very much like it kind of like boils slowly and then it's just all done at the end. And I just kind of think of my talks in a very metaphorical sense, or try and conceptualize them differently to what the standard imagery would be. So like for this one at least, not to spoil too much of the actual text itself, but when I was thinking of the ideas like body image and how I saw myself, I was using, as with this different title, like artworks, physical creations, a lot of like ceramic kind of imagery in there. and that was kind of a metaphor for like the body or self-image, at least in my perspective. If you read it, maybe you have your own ideas of what it meant, but that's kind of what I was coming for it.
Awesome. And then what about, have you learned anything about self-love from this process? And also you wrote for 2 books at the same time, so you can probably talk a little bit about how you got to explore self-love in 2 different ways.
Yeah, well, I was writing about self-love in 2 different ways for this, but they also kind of like they mirrored each other in that my other work that I was writing was a lot more about the process and digging a lot more into kind of the raw emotions of what I felt, in the negative side of like more towards self-hate and self-love. So this one was I was trying to take a more reflective stance and kind of look at it from the brighter side of the journey, which is not a very concrete way of describing it. But I guess for me, like, it's kind of hard to say what I learned in like concrete terms, honestly. But it was just a good reminder that it's definitely still a process for me, and to be okay with not always being able to show self-love all day every day, or sometimes it's okay to like struggle and fluctuate in that, and it's just an ongoing journey or a battle that you kind of keep doing, no matter how you end up feeling. And honestly, having the book here as a physical copy and reading everyone else's contributions was, of course, a really nice way of seeing that a lot of people share the same concerns that I do, or we all have that similar struggle and a similar story. So it's kind of good to feel that, as we've said before, like we're not alone in this, and other people see themselves the same way sometimes, and so maybe you're all just working in the same battle together. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Destiny. All right. Who will we go to next? Let's go to Vita. Hello.
Hi. So I went through a lot for my piece, in a way that's like, at first I was just making it for fun for me, for a challenge that my writers club made. And then when I saw the opportunity that there is a submission, I became jumbled in self-doubt and anxiety. So I actually asked a lot of my friends, like, is this good enough? Is this good enough? Because I didn't feel confident in my own writing, despite everyone telling me like, hey, you're a great writer, and stuff like that. And I was also in a very rough time, as we all are in the pandemic. I lost my job last year, and I kept applying to a lot of companies, and I keep getting rejected over and over and over again. So it was very hard to love myself at the moment when I was still writing the draft for this with Nikki, because it's really hard to finish. I only got 2 drafts for this, but it was really hard for me to finish because of the hard time that I'm going through, being rejected and all of that. And I am a very productive person. Like, I'm the type of, not to be racist towards myself, but like I'm the type of Asian who's like A+ all the way. I graduated college early and stuff like that. So I've always been like the prodigal child or the star pupil, teacher's pet and everything. And for me to see myself slow down and be rejected, it was very hard. It was very hard to love myself when I tied my self-worth to my productivity. So when I finally got an update that's like, hey, it's gonna get published soon, it was such a euphoria. I actually cried because I've been telling myself, I'm sorry, I'm about to get emotional right now. But I was literally telling myself that like I'm worthless because I don't have a job, because I wasn't as productive as I wanted to be. And for me to somehow be in this book and see my name in this book, it is such a journey. Thank you for making me love myself again.
Oh, well, you're very welcome, and it's very well deserved. And hey, you bought us the illustrator as well, so it's all because of you. Like, full credit to you. You should ask for a commission or something. Like 10% for management. I'll let you both discuss this after. I shouldn't get involved. But thank you so much for sharing, Vita. I'm so glad that this could be a positive moment in otherwise a very difficult time, and I'm sure we've all had a very similar experience over the past year, and just not feeling like anything's really working out. So it's great that we have now like a literal, like a physical copy of something that says that we did it. Even if it's really small, it's still something that has a big impact in all of our lives. And I'm sure, judging from the comments on YouTube that I'm seeing come through, like it's already having an impact on other people as well. And that, I mean, you can't get much better than that. So congratulations, everyone, once again. All right, Fatima, we're going to cross to you now.
Well, I'm a class of 2020. I graduated last year. So a lot of things that I've read, and I put a lot of myself into the project, myself, my real thoughts. So not only did I graduate in the middle of a pandemic, I also did feel really lost, and I didn't love myself. And because I was at home so much of the time, I had a lot of time for self-reflection. And unfortunately, that meant going into a lot of dark places or depressive places in my mind. But writing it out, I think, was really, it helped me to like get out of my mind. And even if I didn't get published, I thought it's at least it would make me feel better. So I just wrote it and I sent it out. But getting published, that was really really like it was something that I've never expected, and it made me really, really happy, and it made me believe in myself. And I know it's kind of counterproductive to tie your self-worth to what you've achieved or your productivity, but I think I do that a lot. And being published did give me a huge boost of self-confidence. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. So have you learned anything different from this process about self-love? And what was that journey like for you when you were like reflecting on that and writing your piece?
To be honest, I'm not really sure if I do love myself more now, but I do feel like my thoughts are a bit more organized, and I understand the reasons why maybe I don't love myself, and I can work on it. It's a work in progress, yeah.
Oh,
Every
beautiful
day
work
I
in
wake up and I
progress.
say, yeah,
Yeah, just
yeah, I
like
love
Vita.
myself, yeah.
Yeah, just like Vita was talking about. I love
Right.
the connections between everyone's experiences, and we're definitely, the interesting part about this book, and I'm sure everyone can agree with this, is that we're not saying that we love ourselves completely, or that we even love ourselves at all. There's plenty of days that we totally hate ourselves, and that's an important thing to acknowledge on the self-love journey. Because I think so often in the media, especially on social media, it's so easy just to see all these messages of, oh, self-love, it's so important, it's so easy, I love myself. And that's not really the truth. That's not really the lived experience of self-love. It's way more difficult than that. And I totally relate to everything that everyone's saying, especially Fatima. Like, of course, you don't want to tie your self-worth to a publication, but oh my goodness, it definitely helps. Like, it definitely makes a huge difference. So embrace it like it's something that you've all achieved. So, I mean, hold on to it. Books are forever. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah. All right, Risa, you're in the middle. Let's go over to you. So did you learn anything from this process, like about self-love, and what did that look like?
Oh, so sorry, I asked Walia to not zoom in my face because I feel so uncomfortable seeing my face up front. So that's first. When I read through all of your stories, I feel like I'm not alone. It's a different. I know I'm not going through your shoes exactly, but I truly feel like I am not alone. So for that, I think I can take that as my growth in understanding myself through your stories. So thank you all for sharing your stories. And that's the first thing. And what I gained from that is like the journey and self-love in each and every one of us is different. But somehow I can understand what you're going through. And that's because you are sharing your story. If you don't, then I don't know. And I feel alone in this process. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. Okay. I hope it makes sense. So reading through all of your stories made me feel less alone and made me want to better myself, but not in a way that I need to be productive. I need to do something. No, it's just like listening to myself better and understanding what is it that I'm doing in this world. And just by sharing our stories, that is actually enough. And I think that's my take out from this experience with you guys.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's a pretty cool takeaway. And see, once again, it's just so important that we are able to share our stories, because otherwise other people aren't able to connect with them and aren't able to know whether or not someone else is experiencing the same thing. All right, so Alejandra, we're going to cross to you. And yes, we are going to go solo layout. Here we go.
Okay, so yeah, through this process, I learned a lot about myself, especially because, like I said, my poem, I wrote it in the middle of a mental breakdown, but not everything that is described in the poem is what I was dealing with in the moment. So I also try to remember or include all the situations where I felt like I couldn't take it anymore, or that I was, or like everything was too much for me, and like put it all together. And actually, when I was writing, it was some sort of stream of consciousness. So I was just like typing everything that came to my mind, and then after that, when I calmed myself down, I rearranged stanzas and paragraphs and everything. And I learned that you're not always going to feel good about yourself. Like that is not a thing. Like you said, self-love is a work in progress, and there will be good days and there will be bad days. Especially after last year, that everything was not bad but not good. So it's really easy to feel frustrated and overwhelmed and even lost at times. But for me, what helped me be part of this project is that I I had to force myself to create an outcome, to create a good, hopeful end for the poem, because most of my writings are just dark. Like they don't have any feeling of, okay, I will get better, or okay, I will get out of the situation. Like that's not my go-to ending for writings. So that's, for me, help me realize and think, okay, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to get out of this situation? Because it's so easy to just surrender to the darkness or the sadness or frustration, but it takes a lot to get out of it and like embrace it and tell yourself that you're doing okay, and that, or that you're going to be okay. So that's what I learned, that okay, maybe I will feel bad some days, but I'm the one who can pull myself back together. So that's what helped me to be in this book. Also, like by being, like when they told me that I was selected, that gave me more encouragement. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alejandra. All right, Aru, we're coming over to you.
Okay. I've said multiple times before that how this poem has helped me gain self-confidence, but it is like there is something from start to finish I did myself. Like obviously I had a lot of help from Nikki and Hugh and like Twitter and every like all my friends who I sent it to before, like, is this good enough? Should I send this in? Should I please? Should I not? But then there is some part of it I feel like there is something that I did. I have done something in life, like something Aradhana Juneja can do on herself by herself, and she has done something. That kind of accomplishment is very rare to find. Now see, I don't have the physical copy yet, but when I do, I'll be like showing it to everybody. See, I did something. See, I did something. It also kind of gives me the confidence not just to, like, for the next time I know I have an example in my mind that I did this and stopped myself from self rejecting, so things worked out. So now even if it doesn't work out, I have the courage enough to send other works in, not just in terms of writing. It is in terms of speaking up in a group project as well. It is just little things I have confidence about because something so big has happened just because I had to overcome a little bit of self doubt. So that is this big, not an achievement I would say, but like, yes, an achievement. But this poem getting published is something that I'll remember forever. Like, I did something and it happened, so I should do this whether or not it happens, type of situation.
Yes, you did do this, and I really am excited. Please share a photo when the book makes it all the way to you. I think almost everyone's got their books so far, but I know they're still making their way out into the world. So please share photos so we can all get excited when they arrive, because I know how exciting it is to get books in the post. All right, Fionn, we're going over to you to test your microphone. Hopefully it is working now. Ooh, no, I cannot hear you.
No, is this better now?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yay, you're back.
Okay, perfect. I'm so glad. So I think mostly what I learned from this process was so I struggled with a lot of anxiety and depressive mood in general, and especially around writing, which can be so personal, right? Especially poetry or creative nonfiction. So I think through this process, being able to work with Nikki and Walea on my poem and being able to talk about something I'd written openly with someone else and how I wanted it to be interpreted and how we think it could improve. I think submitting this poem and going through that process with Nikki and Vallejo, that was the first time I'd ever workshopped a poem or any piece of writing with anyone else. And that was such an amazing experience and did wonders for, how I view myself and my writing. Because previously it felt like I couldn't show anyone anything that wasn't perfect or completely polished already. But going through that workshopping experience really showed me how we can all support each other, and it's okay to show things or submit things or share things that aren't perfect yet, because what's the worst that could happen, really? If it's not perfect, no one's going to fault you for it. And if they do hold it against you, then know that the issue isn't with you, because every writer and every artist goes through that process of editing and re-editing, and it's only through that process that we can make something beautiful out of it. So I think that's one of my biggest takeaways from being able to share my poem in this wonderful anthology, and I'm really grateful to have had that experience.
Yay, awesome. Well, Fionn, seeing as we have you here, because your microphone wasn't quite working last time, would you be able to go through your 7 words and your excerpt again, just so we can hear about your work?
Of course. So the 7 words I picked were, I think, a form of therapy and self-love, because writing for me is just like that. It's, even though my poem's about self-hate, being able to put those words and those thoughts on paper and work through them really helped me organize my thoughts and make sense of what I was feeling at the time. So I think writing this poem was really therapeutic in that sense. And my favorite line from my poem, I'm just gonna take a look here. It's towards the end. It's so perhaps it ends like this, with life that tumbles from lifeless lips and grasping palms.
I really like the idea of being able to create art and life from something that feels hopeless or desperate or lifeless, and to be able to pull yourself back up again and try again the next day. So I think that for me is really the crux of where I'm trying to go with this poem, or where I hope to end up later on.
Beautiful. That's awesome. I mean, I love everyone's work so much in this book. Just trust me, I'm your biggest fan. So it's so exciting to hear everyone read off excerpts. And also, I totally forgot at the start of this, to those people who are still with us, I did not introduce actually what I'm here to do apart from facilitate. But apart from being the co-editor of this book, I am also the publisher of this book, which is probably why I'm extra enthusiastic about everything. And this is our first book for our imprint Moonrise. So we're looking forward to working with, all of you again, and lots of new poets and writers to put more creative works out into the world, especially those which are inspired by BTS. I'd be remiss if I didn't add that in case people were wondering who I am. All right, so just to wrap up, we do have one really good question from the audience, from Deanne. So I'm going to put it up on the screen, and then I think each of you are going to answer it, because we just had a little survey in the comments, and yes, you all want to answer it, which is really great. So yes, I'm going to throw to each of you. So maybe I'll just leave all of us up on the screen this time instead of going up really close on you, so we can all have a bit of a break from that. But here is the question. So Destiny, we're going to come to you first. Would you like to have a go at answering this?
Yes, well, for me at least, I definitely would like to keep writing poems, seeing them published. I actually, this was the first poem I've submitted to like a publication for something, because before then I've only written like poetry for myself or as like a assessment kind of piece. So it was really kind of scary to do, but also really exciting to do as well. And so yeah, from that, I would, from that, I would definitely like to keep writing perhaps and trying to get them published and submitting to other publications I found, because I've discovered like the world of poetry magazines and all the creative publications that exist on the internet. So I have my eyes on those. And then I guess as a word of encouragement, I think a lot of us will have the same kind of general theme, and we've already kind of talked about it already, but I just want to emphasize that it's really good to just take the leap and take the risk and just submit the poem and see what happens. Because like for this, I kind of, even when I submitted, I was kind of second guessing like whether I should even submit the first place, because I wasn't sure if it'd be good enough, if it was like too short, like not fitting the theme at all. But I did submit it, and I'm really glad I did, because now I'm here with the poem published. So yeah, I guess like definitely, even if you're not sure about it, or even if you kind of aren't happy with what you have there, but you kind of put that submission time, just like throw it in, see what happens, because maybe it'll get picked up and you might get accepted. So yeah, just take the chance.
Awesome. I know I said I wasn't going to put you up on big screen, but this comment box is incredibly big, so it was cutting off people's faces. Didn't want to do that the whole time. Sorry, everyone. All right, so I'm going to put it back up on the screen just so everyone can remember. And Vita, we're going to go to you to answer this, and I'm going to make you big on the screen.
Okay. This is also the first time I have submitted something to be published. I am writing not for myself, but I am writing both on WordPress and Medium. And I will also keep wanting to submit to publishings in the future, probably a national one, because I am from Indonesia and I would love to write about being Indonesian and in my own language and in my own what is it called again? Because like there are also local languages here, which I am from both Java and Palembang, and I want to write from also those languages. So I would love to have that POV in the future to be written, to be published. And my words of encouragement is that, sorry for the profanity here, but fuck your self-doubt. Just do it. Because, like, again, what's the worst that could happen? Not get published? Who cares? Because the best thing that could happen is it's going to be in a book and it's going to be here forever. And that's an amazing feeling. And that is all.
Absolutely. And also the interesting thing, I will share an anecdote from my life is that every time I got rejected, I used to get really embarrassed about it. And then I realized literally nobody knew. Like, it's not like nobody knows when you get rejected. So it's not, you don't I mean, it's something that it still really sucks for you, but I was getting embarrassed as if everyone in my life knew that I just got rejected. And they don't. So who cares? I know it's easier said than done, but really, who cares? People don't know. They think you're cool anyway. So just keep going and keep persisting, because you will find places that will publish your work and people to collaborate with. And if not, just do it yourself. And I think a lot of people here can relate to that as well. Like, that's why blogs exist. That's why Medium exists. Just always believe in yourself and always publish your own work if no one else will. All right, so I'm going to put the question back up on the screen and we're going to go to Fatima.
Do I want to continue publishing? Of course, I would. Both poems and stories. I want to explore different genres, different types of fiction and non-fiction. I think working on this project has been really, really, really helpful to me. It's given me a lot of confidence, and I would love to explore that going forward. Yeah. And as for advice, I think Destiny and Beta have said it. The same thing that they've said. What I'd like to say is that don't doubt yourself. Don't overthink. Whatever you've written, just send it in. Stuff can be edited. Stuff can be improved on. But it's just the thought that matters. Is your voice that matters. So, and you might not be 100% proud of it, or you might not like it a lot, but it might touch someone's heart, or it might inspire someone. So don't overthink. Just send it in. That's what I'd like to say.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Risa, we are coming to you, but we're not going to zoom in on you. All right,
Thank
but
you.
I won't put the question up so it doesn't cut people's faces off either. So I hope you remember what it is.
For the authors, for the writers out there, please do give your work a better appreciation, because just like these authors, they give words to my feelings and emotion, because I'm not very good at words, but your stories and your poems, your words gave my feelings and my emotion a way. So just give it all you got and throw it out there, because it will help people that are hard with words go through with what they're feeling, just like you guys did. So please continue to send out your work, to send out your words, because there is someone that will listen to you, just like me. That's it.
Awesome. All right, I think we can keep it Brady Bunch style now. I think we all remember the question. So Alejandro, would you like to have a go at answering?
Sure. So I actually have a blog in Medium. I haven't published anything for a couple of weeks, but because I haven't had like the right inspiration, and I don't like to write something that I don't feel that I don't really relate to or that I don't really love. So yeah, that's I've been following some prompts, but nothing has been like my own thing. I've been following a lot of prompts and guidelines. I will keep submitting my work. Hopefully, it will get published more. My goal will be to publish my own poetry book at some point, because I really like poetry, and I feel like Lisa said, like it helps people connect with you, and it helps me put into words the things that I'm feeling and the thoughts that I've been having. And when I put it out there, I have people telling me, "Thank you for writing this. I didn't know I felt this way until you said it," or I didn't know how to explain this, but then I read it and it makes sense to me now. So the feedback is something amazing, and so I love it. And yeah, I will keep writing. I will keep publishing. Actually, in the book, in my bio, there's like my usernames for my social media and my Medium blog. And to encourage people, I will say what I tell my friends every time they are self-doubting themselves. And it's basically just do what feels right for you. If you want to paint, but you don't think people will appreciate it, who cares? Just do it. Like if it's something you like and it's something that you feel good doing and it helps you release anxiety or all the feelings that you've been holding in, just do it. If you like writing, write. And if you want to publish it. If you don't, you can just keep it to yourself, or you feel free to share with people you know will appreciate it. And yeah, so just do what makes you happy. Like it doesn't have to be always about what people think or how are people going to react to this. It's more about how are you feeling by putting it out there. And if you feel anxious because you're scared of the feedback, listen, you will have people tell you good things and people who tell you bad things. So focus on the good things.
Focus on the good things, absolutely. And how do you feel about it? Just do it anyway. That's kind of the advice that we're hearing from everyone so far. Aru, what about you? Aru, are you able to answer the question? Nope, I think we've got some issues. All right, Fionn, it's over to you.
So I think I definitely would want to keep, sending in my stuff for publication and writing more poetry. I think especially with poetry, it's such a vulnerable thing, right? To write a poem that you feel is reflective of yourself or is a part of yourself and send that into someone and say, hey, do you approve? And I think one of the biggest things I love about Revolutionaries and what Alea is doing is this idea of self-publishing and sort of not relying on these other people or other institutions to tell us whether, we're good enough or whether these parts of ourselves that we're giving out to the world are good enough. And really just being able to affirm ourselves and affirm the people around us as well. Through that process, I feel it's a super revolutionary process. And I think it's so important for us to be able to love ourselves in this way as well, not just in the way where we take care of ourselves in terms of mental health or in terms of, taking time for ourselves, but also in terms of the art we put out and the way we connect with the world to affirm ourselves and really give ourselves the time and respect and love we deserve. So yeah, I think that's my main advice for anyone who wants to write or get published or publish anything.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, Aru, we're over to you.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. The internet has really been troubling me. Anyways, the thing is, as I was saying, writing feels really liberating for me. But this whole experience of getting writing, then workshopping and talking to other people about my writing and seeing other people's writing, not just from a reader's point of view, but from a collaborator's point of view, feels so much more liberating. I think you should wait for somebody else to reject you. Like if you keep rejecting yourself, there is there is no point to it. I have done that for so long. I mean, like I'm 18, but that it is not that long. But like, if you keep rejecting yourself, then why you should? In my opinion, even if I would have been rejected here, I would still be proud of myself because I at least tried. And trying something and actually getting yourself overcoming that speed breaker, that big speed breaker that is in your brain, that in itself is such a big achievement. On top of that big achievement, you have the chance to get an achievement to get yourself published. I think that is just like a double win situation. There's nothing else that's bad about this whole situation. Even if you get published, of course it's a win. Even if you don't, it's it's a great achievement in itself that you submitted, I think. And it's not like you submitted a work somewhere and you can't submit the same thing again. You can refine it, you can work on it, your point of view can change about it, and then you can again submit it to somebody else or publish it on yourself by yourself. Maybe reading it by yourself gives you enough strength to maybe write another piece, and that maybe gets published. There is no end to this and there is no concrete answer of yes, this is good work or yes, this is bad work. It's writing. Everybody likes something, everybody dislikes something.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think they're pretty good words from Aru to wrap up on. We're coming up on an hour and a half, so I'm going to start wrapping all of this up now. Thank you so much to our audience for hanging with us for this whole time, and your comments on YouTube have been so lovely. And yes, totally. In the comments, people are excited about what you just said, Aru. You should wait until others reject you and not reject yourself first. Totally the most wise words. And even if they reject you, you know, I think everyone here is pretty sure they're just going to keep going anyway. And I hope that whoever is watching feels like they've got a bit of strength to keep doing that as well, and just keep trying. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I want to take this opportunity to thank the contributors who joined us and the illustrator, Lisa. Thank you so much for making this book amazing. I hope you continue to enjoy it. I hope people continue to read your work and celebrate you. It's so meaningful to me that I got to work with each of you and I get to listen to you, and I hope we get to catch up and do this again. To everyone watching, please grab yourself a copy. Ebooks are on sale at the moment. You can get a paperback shipped anywhere in the world. It just might take a little while because, you know, it's a big planet. Yeah, there we go, but it's totally worth it. Look at that. So thank you so much, everyone. And for everyone who hasn't got the copies yet, I really hope they arrive soon. So please take photos with them when they show up. So be sure to follow everyone on Instagram, Twitter, Medium. Be sure to follow us, Revolutionaries and Moonrise. All the information is on YouTube in the description box below, and everyone's contact information is in the biography page in the book. And that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. You can unmute yourselves and just say bye now if you like. We can have a few moments of chaos while I end the broadcast.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Nice meeting you all.
Bye.
Nice meeting you all.